I'm really delighted to be awarded an honorary degree. It was a lovely surprise, and I think it's a really special thing to be recognised for your work, but also to be able to represent Wolverhampton and the Black Country like this. So I was born and brought up in the Black Country, just down the road in Dudley, and so it's a really important region for me. All my family still lives here. I'm a poet, and a big part of my mission as a poet and a writer has been to celebrate the language of the Black Country, the dialect, and to show it to be a really beautiful, poetic way of speaking, a voice that we should be proud of. No, like I've worked with the Department of Creative Writing for years, with Rob and I have worked together, Rob Francis. And a few years ago I collaborated with one of the art librarians, Tom Hicks, on a long project celebrating the Black Country in poems and photographs. So it's always been a joy to work with the departments at the university. From when I was a really little girl, I've always wanted to be a poet, wanted to be a writer. And I was lucky because I grew up in a house where my mum and dad both loved poems and books. My mum was the librarian at Central Library in Wolverhampton, so I spent an enormous amount of my time in Wolves Central Children's Library just reading and being part of that world. And so I was always writing, but I think a really crucial thing is that I've always written about the places and the people and things that I really care about. And I think there's something about writing about things you really care about and you believe in that enables your work to touch people's hearts. So even though I've written a lot about the Black Country and used that dialect, the poems have gone to travel all over the world into many different languages. So I think people relate really deeply to this idea of home and the voices of home and what do the voices we love mean to us. So I began my life as a primary school teacher, teaching nursery and reception, and that's something I always say to my students now if people ask me about becoming a writer. Find a day job that you really love. Like, don't be afraid that if you pick a different day job, if you want to be a nurse, a teacher, a scientist, bin man, that it means that you can't be a writer. Everything you learn from your day job you bring into your work. It's that education of the heart that I think feeds into what you write. So when I was working as a teacher, I went back to study part-time. I took an adult education class and then went back to study poetry part-time, and then just began writing and publishing, and then bit by bit started teaching poetry rather than teaching the infants, and that's how I kind of slipped between the two worlds. But I would still see myself as a teacher, and a lot of the work I do now is teaching poetry to adults and young people. I think the first is that you should be really proud of yourself. It's a really big thing to study at any age, especially if you're going back to study after a break. So just be really proud of that achievement. And as for advice going forwards, I think I'd say find what gives you joy and follow it. I think we don't talk enough about joy. But if you find something you love and you really care about, then that enables you to keep going and to follow your dreams for it, even if at times things might be hard or challenging. So yeah, keep joy as your guiding principle.